you know how that is. It's 2020. You guys are not used to surprises. You guys are used to surprises. We'll be okay. This is Dr. B. Dr. B presents light skin versus dark skin, breaking down barriers. Let's talk grown folk style. So this is also, I'm also streaming it to a watch party to Facebook because I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to have some input into this great topic that we're having. I have some friends here with me that are going to help me out. I'm going to just go through as I say your name, I'm going to give a slight introduction. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about why I felt the need to do this. I was watching, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was watching Light Skin, the movie on OWN, and it just hit me that for all these years, I'm 50 years old, for all these years, I've been thinking that it was only me that was having issues with the color of my skin, and I always felt that as a dark-skinned person, that I was always at a disadvantage, that I wasn't cute. As you guys can see today, I have on red lipstick. I've only been wearing red lipstick for maybe like the past 2 years because I didn't want to draw attention to myself because I was the dark girl, or so I thought, until I just came to this brand new person that I am now. I'm like, you know what, screw y'all, I'm who I am. But listening to that story made me realize it wasn't just a dark-skinned person's issues, that light-skinned people had issues too. And that for all those years that I carried around the weight of the burden, and what I felt was the burden of my skin, I learned that other people had that issue too. That at the end of the day, we're all Black women, regardless of how much melanin we have in our skin. We're all Black women. Red blood flows through all of our veins, and I can be walking around having these biases or these judgments against a light-skinned girl just because, and not truly understanding their story. So at the end of the movie, Yolanda Hightower said we need to be having these discussions at the table. And you guys already know I'm the disruptive type. I'm that person that goes out on a limb. I'm like, so I'm up. I really need to take Canva off of my cell phone because before I knew it, I'm making a flyer and I'm posting it. And it's like, wait a minute, it's posted, it's out there, what have I done? And so I did that. I made the flyer, I posted it, and the response was crazy. And I'm like, I cannot do this by myself. There's no way I can do this topic by myself. So I went out and I looked at all of my friends and all of my groups, and I said, you know what, I want to get a diverse group. But when I say diverse group, it was diverse in terms of background, it was diverse in terms of age, and definitely diverse in terms of skin tone. Because I didn't want it to be goodness, look at her talking about light skin versus dark skin. She has a completely dark skin panel. Or light skin versus dark skin, she has an all light skin panel. So I'm like, well, let me just go around the rainbow. So I think that I truly went around the rainbow. And it was funny because it really wasn't, it was like I talked to certain people, but as I was talking to them, I wasn't thinking about completing my rainbow. But as I had the discussions, I'm like, wow, I actually got the rainbow. So let's get this party started because I don't want to hold it up because we have an important discussion to make. But I first want to introduce my buddies, the people that are helping me out tonight. First and foremost, we have Ashara. Where you at, Ashara? Hey there. Ashara Inaya. She is a homeschool teacher, and I can't get that long word out. Help me out, Ashara. Right. So that is Ashara, and you're a nurse also, right, Ashara? I'm not a nurse. You're not a nurse, okay. So that's Ashara. Then we have Miss Lysa Davis.
Hey. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Hey. What you want me to say, Bridget? You froze. I'm Lysa Davis. I am the trusted banker. I'm also a former banker from 20 years, working in community education and service and lending and small business startup. And I'm just excited to be here. I thought it was a great topic. And I thought that we were going to have a great discussion. We've previously met, and so we all have different perspectives And I think it's just going to be a dynamic topic. So I'm very excited. Thank you, Bridget, for inviting me. Thank you, Dr. Bridget. And let's get going. Is she frozen? Okay. So we might keep on with going with introductions. Who wants to go next? Yolanda, you next to me on the screen. You want to go next with introductions?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Yolanda. I'm a registered nurse for over 20 years. Right now, I work in case management for one of our big 3 insurance companies. And it is a pleasure to be on this panel with all of these wonderful, talented, and equally diverse women.
Awesome. So, this is Zoom. This is technical difficulties. We're in pandemic, COVID 2020 era. We're going to have some problems. So we're going to keep it moving while Dr. Bridget finds her way back to the screen because this is her thing. But we're going to go on to Margaret. Why don't we go to you, Margaret? Do you want to do your introduction?
Yes, my name is Dr. Margaret Fournier. I've been a hospice nurse for over 45 years, retired military. I'm an author of several publications and just excited about everything right now. And so I'm going to be on Bridget's, one of her segments on October 8th, where I will be a guest host talking about hospice and terminally ill children.
Okay, and that's very important, especially for what everybody is kind of going through right now. With COVID and not being able to be near our loved ones when they are ill. So I think that's a very important topic. So thank you for doing that. Again, we just waiting for Dr. Bridget to find her way back in cyberspace to us. But until we do, I'm going in order. Leah, Mills-Chapman, LMSW. Hey, you want to do your introduction?
Good evening, everybody. As Lisa said, my name is Leah Mills-Chapman. I'm a clinical therapist. I work along with youth and family systems, and my focal point tends to be along the lines of trauma. I'm just really happy to be here, part of this conversation, and contributing as best as I can with my perspective. Thanks for having me.
You're going to do a great job. You got a great perspective. We already know. So we're going to move next to Asandi. And thank you for joining us, Leah. We waiting for Dr. Bridget to come back. We are in 2020. We never know what's going to happen, but things always happen. So she will be back. This is her thing. Dr. B pulled us all together. We are very grateful. But until she finds her way back through cyberspace, we're going to keep going with the introduction. So Asandi, you want to?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Asandi, and I am the CEO and founder of Say It Right, WRITE. I help organizations, nonprofits, and professionals articulate their social mission in their authentic voice. It is a privilege to be here with you all, and I'm really curious about this conversation and eager to listen more than I talk.
We want to hear your voice, Asani. We don't want you staying quiet now, but we really appreciate you being here. Thank you. And again, I'm just hosting right now until Dr. B finds her way back through cyberspace. She's coming. I promise she's coming. But until then, we have Lakisha Evans. I don't know if you want me to say your closeness to Dr. B, but hey, girl, go ahead and introduce yourself. Mute.
You're muted. We can't hear you, Lakisha.
Okay. No, but muted. Well, I would say we were not roommates because we were not in the room at the same time, but we were in the same room. Dr. Bridget is my big sister, so she's pretty amazing. But my name is Lakisha Evans, and I am an ordained minister. I have a marriage ministry. I have a women's entrepreneurship ministry, and I am also a beauty and a wellness professional. So, hello, and I'm so excited to be with all of you amazing ladies and just to open up this discussion and to let healing and everything begin.
Thank you, Lakisha. All right, we're going to keep it going. But again, I'm going to keep saying it because we're just going to put it in the spirit. We're going to put it in the atmosphere. Dr. Bridget's going to come back to us. She's going to come back. But until she does, we're going to keep going with introductions because Dr. Bridget did put us all together. We've all recently met. We've all recently had our little sister circle, and we are all recently now here to talk to you about light skin versus dark skin. Before we do, Miss Felicia, did you want to give an introduction on yourself? You're on mute.
Hi, everybody. I'm Felicia, just been Felicia. I'm a nurse. I'm a respiratory therapist. I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I do some everything. You name it, I probably can do it, right? So except electrical. I do everything except electrical. But I'm excited. I love that. That's my home girl. And we're both here in the Detroit area together. And I just always try to support everything she does. And so I'm here just to add my 2 cents in if I can.
All right, cool. I see Dr. Bridges made it back multiple times. Oh, there we go. Hey. So you're on mute. You're on mute.
I tell you about technology, the joy of having another laptop sitting by. Thank you so much, Lisa. I love my teamwork. Big skip a beat. Are we finished with introduction?
Vince. I think we still have Nicole and Vincia. Vincia and Nicole. And New Innovations and Terry Goodson. But if not, I'm sure we can get right if we can get started if they're
let's get started. So again, we were talking, she talked a little bit, Lisa talked about how I got all of us together. And when I got all of us together, it was strange because we were trying to think about what to put into this 1 hour meeting. And as you guys can see, it's already 7:49. So what we decided was that we were actually going to break ourselves into a series. So that was the good news. We're going to actually break ourselves into a series because there's no way we can tackle all of these issues in a 1 hour setting. So what I wanted to do tonight was just to have the ladies on the panel just go through and talk about a situation that when I brought this topic to them, that it clicked and they were saying to themselves, like, I have to get my story out. I have to help the next person. So if we can maybe have Asandi, if you can just go in and just tell a snippet of why this topic is so important to you, I'm sure that it will possibly resonate with so many others. Gladly. It hit me on 2 different fronts. One, it reminded me of something that I think I kind of blocked out, but I remember as a little girl being in my room singing and I'm 50, well, I'll be 50 in a couple of months, so 70 days. So I remember being in my room singing to my brush, and I had a white button-down sweater that I would put over my hair to pretend that it was long and blonde, and that I was white. And that I'd be singing whatever song, whatever I might have been listening to or watching on TV, because I really, like very much what we saw in the documentary, that was what I thought was acceptable and pretty. So for a very, really up until I probably hit my teen years and probably really late teens, did that really concretely shift for me, that I became a little bit more comfortable. I wasn't necessarily proud, but I became a little bit more comfortable in the skin that I was in. So just growing up, seeing these images of what was being emulated as pretty was like, many of us, not what I saw in the mirror. And then the other reason for me that this topic resonates is I have a chocolate brown daughter, and I have a chocolate little cousin who's 19 and 24. So for me, I wanted, whenever, like my daughter, of course, lived with me, but my little cousin lived out of state, that whenever we had these interactions, just making sure that they knew that they were beautiful and that they were gorgeous, and that so they wouldn't grow up with the complex that I did coming up and dealing with all of the low self-esteem, but also all the darks that you get thrown at as a young person. Ashara, do you mind sharing your one?
I also avoid red lipstick. I have for a long time. I have a real problem with anything but red. I stick to browns and earth tones. But you just your mouth today. I had when you called me. I'm so hyper aware of the issues that we have in our community, and so sometimes in these situations, I just want to kind of fade off into the background and it's like, oh no, I'm sorry. It's just like, what's the reception going to be when she calls me first? And it was also off-putting for me. So I know that had nothing to do with you. That's my family. But I one thing that hit me is that I didn't even know that the documentary you're referring to existed until you mentioned it in your post, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen that. But one thing that I noticed is that a lot of people assume that light-skinned folks don't have pain or don't have problems. In our community, my reality is different. And I can only speak for myself, but I've literally had people over the years, when I do speak for myself, literally call me a liar. And, that's their pain that they're speaking from, and I understand that now. But I've had them literally attack me vehemently and tell me I'm a liar, and then go into, kinds of, different means of evading. And so, I've got a lot to really pull from historically, including things that my father, I heard him say throughout his life. He recently passed, and even leading up to his passing, there was so many things that he would talk about from his lifetime, his childhood, and things that he had to deal with as a light-skinned man. And I'm like, wow, some of those things we just really don't hear a lot about. And so, for me though, specifically for my life, one of the many situations that stands out is the day that I realized that my light-skinned male cousin also had issues with himself because of his skin complexion. I tend to have a preference for darker skinned men. And this cousin of mine wasn't necessarily aware of that. And he had never met most of my boyfriends. But this particular time, he met a boyfriend of mine, kind of in passing. And he pulled me to the side and he said, nope, nope. This boyfriend was light skinned. And he said, no, absolutely not. We need to darken this up. And I was like, oh, what was that? I was like, wait, I thought I was the only one with the problem. And to this day, he and I have conversations about how heavy a lot of our life experiences have been for us, to the point where even when it came to me deciding, okay, how girls say they want to have, I want this many children in school and things like that. In my mind, my daughter always had to be brown skinned. She needed to be the opposite of what I am. And to me, that was beautiful. And to me, she would do well in society if she was anything other than what I was. So, that comes with a lot of stories, a lot of history, but that's the basis of what I thought about when I saw your post.
Thank you for sharing, Ashara. Can we maybe have Yolanda? Can you share with us?
So I think for me, the biggest thing is that I grew up in a rainbow family. There's such a vast age difference between myself and my older siblings that I basically grew up with my nieces and my nephews, who, guess what, are all lighter than me. So we had the sweet nicknames for my niece and the darker colored nicknames for me. I was smoked out, I was chocolate, she was butter, she was all the nice names. And I never felt comfortable with me. Dark was always wrong. You don't wear that, you're too dark. You don't wear that, it don't look right. Like y'all, never would I have worn red lipstick. I used to wear gray, blue, black, green, brown, anything that did not bring me out because I was not comfortable with me. And then being that child that was dark, anytime with, when you have ethnic features, oh, you look like you just came over on the ship, so it was never a time where I felt comfortable or loving me for who I am.
And believe it or not, it just took me getting older to get to almost 50 before I realized that I am a beautiful person, that my melanin was something that most people are dying to get. And unlike some, I didn't have to run to try to change who I am to get to the point where I have color. I put on a color, and guess what? It pops because now my melanin is, I know what it's about. So for me, it was all those darkening, dangerous things that I never got to understand and love because I was always criticized for being so dark. You're beautiful, but, or you're beautiful on the inside, whereas my niece, oh, you're so beautiful, but you're beautiful too on the inside. So it was always that stigma that I was never good enough. So you were always a mistake from a child. You never were valued. You always being less than. So for me, the topic has always run deep. It's something that I've worked through and you continue to work through as life goes on because you're always, especially right now, with our present culture, you always feel that what is it about my skin color that makes other people feel so intimidated? And so it's always just a thing about always feeling as though you're enough. And so my slogan for this year has been, I am more than enough. So, of course, Bridget, you know that because what last year you never got me to do any of this. So, just knowing that, helping someone else to understand that your dark skin is a beautiful thing and not something that you have to be ashamed of.
Thank you, Yolanda. Lysa, do you mind sharing?
What was the question? The first, what?
Forgive Lysa, you guys don't know. Lysa and I are like playing phone tag. She's stuffing me out. She's like my technical person, and she's on my panel all at the same time. So she's double dipping here. So excuse her for not paying attention because she's trying to help me make sure that people on Facebook can also listen.
Right.
The question is, what's your why? When you heard when I invited you to this panel, what was your why? What situation did you go through that's like, oh, I gotta address it?
I was never black enough. I was never black enough. I never taught slang. I never taught ebonics. I didn't really cuss a lot. I didn't have, I was never black enough. And that started in the family. I just was never black enough. So, yeah, this is like, it's always, and a lot of my dark skinned friends would always tell me, you don't understand how it feels to be in my shoes because you don't look like me. You're light skinned. I don't feel like I'm light skinned. But they would say you're light skinned. You don't understand what it feels to be shadowed or followed. You don't understand what it feels like to be dark skinned. But on the other side, nobody ever, in my opinion, took into consideration about how much bullying light skinned people took because of maybe the anger that other people felt because of whatever they went through. But to not be black enough, and I knew I wasn't white. What the heck was I? So it's always been kind of a important topic to me. On top of the fact that I have two daughters, two beautiful girls, but one is dark skin and brown skin, and one is light skin. Brown skin with beautiful coarse hair, and one is light skin with long curly hair. So it's like I really got a full breadth of colorism from the public every time we went out as they were babies. So it's just a big problem in the Black community, I think. So it's something that needs to be discussed.
Thank you, Lysa. Leah.
I'm along with Lysa, right? Never being black enough. The feeling of being marginalized amidst your own community, right? And then the desire to fit in to your own community. So I grew up in an all black school system. And so I would often find myself on the outside, right, on the margins of peer groups. And it was, quite interesting. Actually, just recently, I had an older, mature woman at this point. I still feel young, but, we're up in age now. But she hosts a podcast. And previously, she she came up and she was like, Leah, I need us to have this real conversation. We didn't get along in high school. And amidst our conversation, she shared with me that she didn't like me because of my skin color. For no other reason other than that was your skin color and how you dress, right? And so it made me reflect a lot on this. You think you all that because you're light skinned. You think you all that because, right? And I'm like, this is sad. And it's very hurtful because we never had the opportunity to truly know one another for who we are. And then I fast forward, right, to kind of similar to what Lysa was saying. I have two beautiful daughters, and they are different hues of color, right? So my family system looks like the rainbow. And so I remember with my youngest daughter and my ex-husband at that time, telling him, like, don't come at me with no foolishness because your baby can come out looking like a little bit of anything. My mother's light skin, blind hair, hazel eyes, right? So things are just kind of all over the place. But I had to preface this so that he didn't think that I was cheating on him. But then when we wound up, right, giving birth, we're in the hospital. We end up in a fight because when my baby came out, she was lighter than me. And so the doctors and the nurses were literally, and this is no lie, and I won't take up too much time, but it's still mind-boggling to me 21 years later. They came running in and was like, come see this baby. Because she had straight, long hair out the womb. It was golden and glistening, and her skin color looked like a ceramic dial. It was that pure white. So we end up fighting in the hospital because we have the ignorance of individuals who is now causing issues in my marriage, right? Of what my child looks like. Now we fast forward it where she's starting to recognize the rainbow, and my baby just didn't know where she fit in. So she kept looking at the television. She's like, Mommy's light, Sisty's brown. What am I? I look like them. I'm them. And I said, nah, baby. So I'm having to give, right, this comprehensive educational, right, a learning experience with my baby at 2 because she didn't know where she belongs and she still struggles today. And so, we have a huge issue intra-race that we really need to begin to annihilate this thing of colorism.
Wow, thank you for that insight, Leah. What about you, Miss Lakisha?
Yes. Well, even just this whole conversation, since the time that you kind of invited me to do this, it's just brought back so many just like negative memories of growing up. And to be honest with you, I don't even consider myself to be super duper light skinned. Like, I just don't. And I don't even know what super duper light skin is, but I've just never considered myself to be like super duper light skin. As I've gotten older, I have gotten darker. When I was younger, I think I was lighter. But just growing up, especially on the east side of Detroit, I don't know if it was worse there. And Bridget, you were older, so you really weren't there a lot because you were living your own life, But like, I remember getting chased home from school by a bunch of girls. Like, I'm about to beat you up because like, you think you're cute, you think you're better than me, like you're light skinned, you're not cute. I never said that I was cute. I don't even know if I thought I was cute. I had these little rat ponytails, like I don't even know, but it was a normal occurrence for dark-skinned girls to have thought I was better than them. And that was like never my thing. And it's like in society, I know there's like light skin privilege, you get more jobs and just all of that in society. But within our culture, as a lighter skinned girl, you're almost kind of demonized. And I know it's because of what we've been through in our culture through the years, but it's been pretty painful. So I was pretty excited to get here and to unwrap just all of this and to bring healing, because it hurts on both sides of the spectrum.
I love how you said to bring healing, because when I first introduced the topic, light skin versus dark skin, Ashara and I had a conversation, and she said, "Well, Bridget, you said versus, and for so long it's always been against." But I wanted to put a spin on it because I don't want people to think that it's versus. I mean, right now I wish I could go back and change the topic to say light skin and dark skin, instead of versus, because again, I want us to know that we are women of color. And we say that proudly. We always say women of color. So women of color means a wide range of colors. No color is better than the next person. And when I think about my own experience, I think about, like Keisha said, I'm 9 years older than her. So I think about me going down south to Mississippi, a little town that only had one street light, with my grandmother, who was I think she was lighter than Keisha, and my great-grandmother, who had blue eyes and blonde hair, and going down south with my grandmother and being the darkest granddaughter there and feeling like an alien sometimes in my own home. And then, like Keisha said, our mom is the same complexion as Keisha, but yet my father is darker than I am. So I took my father's view. But when Keisha and I would be out and about, or even like on Facebook sometimes, when Keisha's doing something marvelous in her life, and I would post her, and I would say, "My sis," I mean, there's so many times I've gotten the inboxes. "Is that your real sister?" "Well, we came out the same twat. I think we're the same sister. I think we have the same mom. I'm not adopted. She's not adopted. Yes, we're sisters. And if you take away the coloring, our facial features are probably the same, the high cheekbones and things." But to have to constantly explain that to people, it is just alarming. And, like you said, it's like we need to let go of the past, the things that happened back in the days of slavery, the things that happened 50 years ago. It's time to let that go. We're out here and we're fighting for Black Lives Matter, but yet we're coming inside of our doors sometimes and having to fight with each other. And that's just crazy to me. So one of the things I want to do is I want to open it up to the panel. But again, the time now is 8:10. And again, we wanted to say that we really wanted to make this a series. So I'm going to put some dates out there on the Facebook page. But in 2 weeks at 7 o'clock, I want you guys to join us here for part 2. We're going to talk about the impact on the home life and family dynamics, and possibly open it up to more people on the panel, so it won't just be, the 6 of us talking. And then 2 weeks from that, on 10/29 at 7 p, will be part 3. And we're going to talk about the impact of colorism on kids. We're going to talk about that generational trauma, because I think Leah or Asandi mentioned, sometimes just something as simple as giving a little girl a baby doll can have a huge impact on their life. Then part 4 will be November 12th. We're going to talk about impact on the workplace, and then social group settings. And then 11/19 at 7, we really want to just wrap it up and just talk about next steps. Like, what can we do to go out there and spread a message of inclusion? I mean, we have all these work sites now that are, talking about implicit bias, talking about diversity and inclusion. But we need to start within ourselves. How do we help those out there if we're not helping ourselves? So I just want to open it up a little bit to the panel. If someone wanted to share their experience or share their story with the group, because we're not in this alone. We all went through a lot of stuff, but as Keisha said, the healing has to begin. At some point, we have to realize that we all have red blood running through our veins, and that we're all the same. We just have different amounts of melanin. So does anyone on the panel want to speak? I mean, anyone in the outside of the panel want to speak? I see you looking at me, Felicia.
Hi, well, I'm Dr. Margaret Fournier, and I grew up in the South. I'm now 65 years old. And so being dark-skinned, there was a family of 12. Some light, some dark. My mother was light-skinned, father dark-skinned, so naturally I took after him. So in that time, there was in our school system in the South, we went to an all-black school, and then they wanted to segregate us and put us into a white school. So they took members of my school. They took some of the smartest, and so my parents had taught us that you have to excel in your schoolwork in order to get out of here. So she pushed all of us, and we all were like A students. And so they took a portion of us and sent us over to the white school. So when we went to the white schools, they didn't want to use me as anything because I didn't look like the rest of the white students. And so I was picked on a lot. But because I was smart, I was used when they had to do contests and things like that. And I wanted to be a cheerleader, but of course I couldn't be a cheerleader because I was too dark. So I had to push myself. And so I left Tennessee and went to Chicago to live with my sister, who's light skinned. And so you can imagine the Southern girl going to Chicago, and there I was in my Bobby socks and getting teased all the time by the black schools at South Shore High School. And so I had still to excel. So that's what pushed me to do more. So that's why I kept going to school, getting more degrees, and then joining the military. Oh my God, being a black woman in a white man's world and being an officer, it was hell. But my parents taught me perseverance, and they were very, very religious and saying that God was with you. Don't worry. So I pushed myself to stay 27 years because I said, I'm not going to be pushed out by people just, I would get bad OERs when I had done spectacular at another station. And so there was just people being upset because I excelled in getting things done, and I had that inquisitive mind and I could do things. And so what ended up happening is that after I got to 27 years, I decided to get out. And so to retire and then become an author and do more and more and more. And so people used to say, you going back to school again? And so that's still that drive to do more and to do more and to be more. But I can say right now that I am very comfortable being my skin. And I I married a white guy, and that was the worst thing I could have ever done because I was called all kind of names racially. So now I prefer a dark guy, and I always wear red lipstick. And so it's just hard to find a shade red enough for me because it's like I'm comfortable being who I am now.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on their experience? Yes, Felicia?
Hi, everybody. I had a very opposite experience. I have never taken issue with my skin color. I've never met the insults or the opposition that was enough to make me think a certain way of myself. I'm not saying I didn't hear it. As a matter of fact, I keep this picture of me. This is in my office space, which is my living room that, hey, use the living room to turn it to office space, right? And I keep this, and I've done speeches off of this. And the speech that I do off that is, what do you do when the world calls you black, nappy-headed, and ugly? And I do it because I love that little girl. And so, and I've never not loved that little girl, right? And so, and when I started that speech, the couple of times that I've done it, everybody gets so somber. They they're like, oh, and I don't. In third grade, my best friend was a light-skinned girl with long hair. Her mother was white, her daddy was black. I tell y'all, I never felt any issue against me and Janelle. I never wished that I looked like Janelle. All I can tell you, I don't know, maybe it's from my mother, maybe it's that I didn't have any negativity in my family. I came from a single poor mother on welfare, but I didn't have anybody in my family, even in my cousins or whatever, calling me names or making me feel bad. Yeah, I've been at school, preach from the Black Lagoon, and I will just tell you the truth. I mean, I put my dukes up. You know, I was a fighter, right? And so I didn't get bothered a lot because I was a fighter, you know, and I would defend myself. And even when I got a little older and was a teenager, and somebody said to me, "Oh, you're so cute to be so black," I would say at 14, 15, "No, I'm cute and I'm black." So I don't know where all that came from. It's just always been in me. I attract light-skinned men. I always have. They're cute to my husband. It's not like I don't think he's fair. I think he's lighter than me. But that's what I attract. It's not that I prefer, because I mean, I like that. What's the Amistad? That Amistad black man. That's a man. I see him and I just get real loose, right? But I attract light-skinned men, and light-skinned men are attracted to me. And I never apologize for it. My son's father is a very fair-skinned man. And so I hate to hear this stuff. As I got older, I always had friends that didn't necessarily look like me, and I didn't feel any competition. I don't feel any envy, and I don't want, and I don't feel like anybody should have that for me. And I always have just had high self-esteem. And so that's really why I wanted to come, because, I don't like red lipstick. I don't like red lipstick. You're not going to ever see me in red lipstick. And it's not because I don't think it's attractive on me. And so that's just me. And I don't put everything on, because I'm dark, look at my hair. You gotta be confident to be, I'm sitting here doing my hair, banding it up. I don't care what nobody think, and so I guess that's just, I don't know. I guess that's just what it comes from. And I also remember when I did this speech, talking about the other entities, the other places in my life where I was built up, like church. Nobody called me ugly in church. They applauded me, and they told me I could sing good, and they, and I felt good at church. So I wonder if, as we try to figure this thing out in our own community, make sure that home is right for our babies. Make sure that your babies can talk to you, because you couldn't tell me when Uncle Michael ran this tongue down my throat and said, "If you tell your mama, you're going to get in trouble." No, I'm not. I'm telling my mama, and I went and told my mama. And so it bothers me when kids they believe the other person and not mama or daddy or whatever. And so I just think I'm the baddest thing walking. That's all that girl right there, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. And so, I love all of y'all. We can all party. And if the light-skinned girl get us drinks, hey, that's I'm just, so, I had to be here. I love having these type of conversations and giving another perspective, because, I hate to hear that someone didn't feel a certain way till they were 50, and that breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. So All of you guys are absolutely beautiful, and we all are.
Thank you, Felicia. I mean, you hit on a really good point, is the fact that, you know, having that self-confidence and that self-awareness and having people in your life that are constantly in your ear pushing that positive message. You are beautiful. You are beautiful, regardless of how you look. You know, people say, you know, all babies are not pretty babies, but you still find some way to compliment them. And I think that we need to do that in life too. Like, still push those positive messages so that you won't be a me, that you won't be sitting around at 50 years old and only enjoying the last couple of years of your life because for so long you thought you were ugly because of what society placed on you. You know, I needed to hear those words from my mom or a sister or auntie or cousin like you, somebody that said, you know what, fight for your rights if you have to, but you're a pretty woman. You know, so I really like that. We could possibly take one more story from someone if they want to share. I know that we went over our time a lot, but I think that we've learned a lot of different interesting perspectives from everyone. So is there one more person that may want to share?
Share. My name is actually Keishan, and Keishan Newton. And unlike Felicia, I had insecurities. There were members of my family who called me black and dark. And I'm like, I thought I was caramel. But I mean, as a child growing up hearing that, and it was always at the time when they were angry. So just to be called those names and words, although I was affirmed by my dad telling me that I was smart and intelligent, it was something about hearing that in the way it was fed. So it wasn't like you black, it was like you are facial expressions and everything. And so I began to develop some insecurities, and then I would see, because my sister and I are different hues as well. Just like Bridget, Dr. Bridget and her sister. I would be Dr. Bridget and my sister would be Lakisha. And people would look at us and be like, oh, she looks like her dad. But my dad is white, and my mom, I'm maybe her color, maybe a little bit darker, but I just didn't understand that. And then my sister's hair was always longer, and I would look at our pictures on the wall and, you know, our family pictures, and I would always see the difference. But at the age of 3, and this is off topic, but it relates to the feelings of insecurity. I was taken to the hospital, and they literally shaved my head clean. They couldn't figure out what was going on with my scalp. I was being prepped for surgery. They were going to remove the top 2 layers of epidermis, which means that I would be completely bald. But my praying grandmother and the saints and their blessed oil came up in that place and took me out of there. So yeah, this is my hair, however you want to look at it or what you want to call it. So at a young age, I developed some insecurities. And then on top of that, because my hair had to literally grow all the way back, being called names, it just did something to me. So if you got a chance to listen to the leadership experience tour, I talk about as an adult when I started to like who I was. But there were other things that came into play that really messed my psyche up that I had to overcome. And so this conversation, this topic, Dr. B, you hit it on the head because this is good. And it's necessary.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you okay, Yolanda? Well, we've had a great discussion tonight, and like I said, this discussion is not something that we can wrap up in an hour. So I'm hoping that we will see all of you in 2 weeks when we talk about the impact on the home life and family dynamics, because that is a scar that needs to be peeled off so that it can heal properly. Because the work has to begin. The work has to begin today. The work has to start with us. So I'm asking all of you to do 2 things for me. First and foremost, to go out and say something positive to someone that you know needs to hear. Hello? Something positive.
Oh Lord, I don't know what she was about to say, but I know it was about to be good. So I'm sure she will be back. But until she does come back, does anybody else want to share a 2-second story? Oh, she's back. Woo! She's back.
Is she there? Hello?
Yep. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I just can't. Now I'm on the cell phone. I'm 2 laptops down. I'm on the cell phone. Where there's a will, there's a way. You are not going to defeat me. That devil is not going to get me. I'm just not going to let him get me. So, let's go. The internet is ratchet. It's better than your phone. Anyway. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up. But I just want to do 2 things for me. First and foremost, I want you to go out and say a positive message to somebody because somebody truly needs to hear it. And I want to end our meeting tonight with everyone saying 3 words for me to make me feel better about myself, to make everybody else feel good about themselves. I want us to end this with all of us on 3 saying, I am beautiful. And I will see all of you in 2 weeks. Again, 10:15 at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking about the impact on home life. So on 3, I am beautiful. 1, 2, 3. I am beautiful. Thank you, ladies. All right. Yes. Thank you, ladies, so much. Again, see you in 2 weeks. We got some work to do. It starts with us, but I believe that we're going to impact somebody because, as you all know, my personal mission is to positively impact at least one person every day through words, thoughts, or actions. This is Dr. B and Friends. We presented to you tonight light skin versus dark skin, breaking down barriers. Let's talk grown folk style. And we did just that. Thank you so much, ladies. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye, ladies. Bye, ladies.